And as you can see at this point, all of our exhibits are stamped. They're stamped in the places that we put the stamps. And you can see they show up exactly as we expected them to. So at this point, we're ready to export an exhibit list and potentially PDFs of each exhibit to create like an exhibit binder. And so there's a couple of different ways that you can create an exhibit list. If I go back to my Documents tab, the easiest way to create an exhibit list is to click on this little three-dot menu next to the folder that contains the exhibits. You click on that, there is an Export Exhibit List option, and this will allow you to create a default exhibit list, one that we have some fields that we've created that will allow you to show that exhibit list in either CSV or PDF format. And as you can see, exhibit number is listed, as is the date, description, and then offered and admitted. These would have been populated had we completed those when we were stamping the exhibits or after we stamped the exhibits. And you'd have that ready to go if you need it. Oftentimes you need different fields than what's in the default template here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and close out of that. And I'm gonna show you how to make a little bit more of a customized exhibit list. So there's a few steps to this actually. And the first step is to actually create a field for that exhibit number. It shows up on the default exhibit list, but it's not something that's pre-populated anywhere in Nextpoint. So you actually have to create a custom field for it and then populate it. If you have hundreds or thousands of exhibits, you understand that's a very manual process to type in all of those exhibit numbers. It's certainly something we can help out with. It'd be a fairly easy export and then an overlay that we could use to put those exhibit lists on there, or those exhibit numbers onto that field. But that would be something you just need to reach out to support@nextpoint.com and we can help you out with that. So to do it for just the 4 documents that we have, I will show you a kind of quick and easy way to do it. And the first step would be to create that exhibit number field. And so what I will do is I will go to the documents, I'm sorry, that was more, settings, and then documents. I will scroll down to my fields and I will create a new field and I will just call it exhibit number. Make it a free-form field and click create. So now X number is a field and now I can add that to my hot fields. And so what I will do is I will click the green add new button. The field that I just created is at the bottom. I will click add and I will click done. And so the next step would be to go to your Documents tab and go into your claimant folder. And then click on the first document, and then you will see that this is CX-1. I've actually already pre-populated this into another field so that I could run an export that I could show you. But our new field that we created is empty and it's right here. And so what you would end up doing is just typing in CX1, click save and next. The next one is CX2. We're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on down the list in CX-2. And we would go through every document in the folder like this, or like I said, we can help you run an overlay and we could go from there. And so I'm saving that and going to the last document in the list, typing in CX4. And now I have all of my documents have this X number as the exhibit number that's stamped on the document. Okay, so the next step would be to return back to your more settings, go to an export and exchange, and we can take a look at our export templates. So I already pre-populated an exhibit list field. I also have an exhibit list template. I also have a template for exhibits plus exhibit list, which will give us the PDFs of every document plus that exhibit list. And so let's go ahead and see kind of what exists there. And I will go ahead and add our field to this. And then I can show you, I've already exported this one out, but I will show you if we go into here, you name your template. For just an exhibit list, you actually don't need any of these files here. The naming convention isn't going to matter because it's not going to show up anywhere because all we're doing is exporting a load file. And so we are going to include that. We want that load file to be a CSV. And then I have a load file template here that's trial exhibit list that has all of these fields in it. As I said before, I'd pre-populated trial exhibit number it's going to include all of these other ones, but you can always create a new field or create a new load file template or use one of the other load file templates that you've already created for this. And again, if you create a new template, what we would just need to do is add our X number field as the first field on the list, and then any other kind of fields that we would want to show up in that list. So if you want a date, you wanted to add any of the other custom fields or system fields that we have in there, you could go ahead and add those here. And so you can customize that however you want. I'm going to go back and I'm just going to use the one that we've already created. As I said before, trial exhibit number was one that I pre-populated with the exact same numbers that we just typed into the other one. And so we will go ahead and save that export template. Okay, I will show you now real quick the exhibits plus exhibit list template. So on this one, again, we want both the exhibits and the exhibit list. So if I click on files, I'm going to see I don't need that search text here because, again, all we want is those PDFs of those exhibits. I'm going to include images in PDF format, and I'm not going to worry about my natives because, again, we just want the PDFs of all of this stuff. My naming convention is important on this one, and so what I want to do is name these by those folders. And so if my exhibits are in the claimant folder, I would need to click that. If my exhibits are somewhere else, I would need to change this to the folder that I'm exporting. So if you're exporting multiple folders of exhibits, you need to change this based on whichever folder you're exporting from. And then my load file is actually going to be the same way I had it for just the exhibit list export, because I want a CSV. I want it to have that same load file template. And that, again, has the fields that we've created here. So we'll go ahead and click Save Template. And now we're ready to go ahead and export. Exporting is very, very similar to how we would have how we exported the default exhibit list. And again, you could export the default exhibit list and export just a list of the PDFs by turning off those load files. And then you'd have both sets there, and you wouldn't have to do any of the typing in of the exhibit numbers. So I'm next to my claimant number or my claimant folder again. I go ahead and click the three-dot menu. And this time, instead of exporting the exhibit list, I'm going to go ahead and export just run a full export of these documents. So I click export. I want to make sure that I'm using my exhibits and my exhibit list field. Again, this one would give me just that custom list. This one's going to give me my exhibits and my exhibit list. Go ahead and name it exhibits. And that's 9/1/22. And I click export. And now my export will run. Okay, now that we've run our export, we can go ahead and access it here. If you go to More, Data, and Exports, you're going to see a list of all of the exports that you ran. And we can go ahead and click on the one that we just ran, which is exhibits 9/1/22. And you can see some basic information about this export. So I ran it. It was on this date. That was the document count. It's now complete. We can see the export template that we used that included PDFs and a CSV. This is the load file. The CSV's template was this trial exhibit list. And then finally, I have my exhibit list in this load files folder, and I've got the volumes down here. So let's go ahead and download the volumes folder. And I'm going to show that in a folder that's off screen here, and it will come zipped up. So you just need to unzip it. Okay. And what you will see at that point is an unzipped folder that looks like this. And so I'm going to go ahead and download or open that. I have to go in to the folder, into images, and you see your your PDF documents are named with that prefix, the CX prefix, and then it adds leading zeros so that everything in here stays in order. If you had 100 or 1,000 exhibits and you did not have those leading zeros, then things would be out of order because of the way that folders sort things alphabetically. And so if I go ahead and click on CX1, I can see that it has my exhibit on there. If I go and open up CX3, I can see that it has my exhibit number on there, just like we had before. I can also go ahead and download the load files. I'd have to go through the same process for unzipping those. So I'm going to go ahead and say show that in the folder. I'm going to extract that. Extract. We'll create the new load file folder here, and then I will go ahead and open it and show you the CSV. And as we said before, it has our control numbers there, our exhibit numbers there, along with all the metadata that we added to that load file. One other nice thing about exporting this way is if I can share this with opposing counsel using the three-dot menu next to the exhibit. So if I click here and I click share link, I can add their information. If I've already got them in saved recipients of my exports, I can click that and check off Jack's name to go ahead and export to him. If I have a printing vendor, I can go ahead and export to the printing vendor, and they will receive these same zip files, and they can print out our exhibits for us in our exhibit list and create those binders. I can share them with co-counsel or anything else, anyone else that I need to share them with this way, or I can download them in the way that I've stated. So, this is a process that now you can customize to make it work for whatever you need